Welcome back. Let's study hard. Let's make magic happen. Let's study literature and language and make sure that that you learn in the best way possible. And more than learning in the best way possible, that is given, but also our love for the language, our love for literature, our love for stories. Let it grow, and let it grow in such a way that it becomes a beautiful journey. So today I'm going to present to you the video of Julius Caesar Act 3 Scene 1, and before Act 3 Scene 1 I'm also going to put up a video which talks about how should you be studying Julius Caesar, because a lot of time there are teachers who will explain the things to you but they wouldn't explain how should you be doing it, what is the right approach. So being a teacher who's going to guide you, I am also going to put up a video where I talk about how should you be approaching the text, what are the techniques, how should you be, what kind of mentality, what kind of mind should you be sitting with when you're studying Julius Caesar in particular and literature in general, so that you learn that for the rest of your life, not just for the examination, and become a better scholar, better learners, and better human beings, well educated human beings, because that is what we're here for. So without any further delay, yes students, so beginning with the video on the explanation of how should we be studying Julius Caesar, or how should we be studying literature in general. First of all, this is with particular reference to Julius Caesar. What I would want you to do, and I'm not going to give you, that as a teacher I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to go into lengthier details. I'm going to give you concise, brief explanations of certain techniques, which if you follow, if you include, not just in your literature, not just for your Julius Caesar, but also for your literature, you are becoming, not just you're getting good marks, because a lot of you are just late bloomers or late comers, or whoever, they study one day before examination or 2 days. Please do not be that. Start from the beginning, study from the beginning, take small steps, and you'll reach there, and success would be yours. Do not be the last the last learner, or the learner who's learning at the last moment, the learner who's studying at the last moment, and then you are thinking, I'll fetch marks, this will fetch marks, that will fetch marks. No, learning cannot happen in a day ever. Learning is a long, lengthier process. Even till now, as a teacher, I am still learning. My process is still going on, and I learn every day from others, from you, from my own mistakes. So all of us are individual, are continuously learning. We have to do that for ourselves. So do not be the last minute person. Start from ahead. Start from it's April, it's going to be somewhere mid-April. Start from now. You'll be in a better place, and you'll be a better learner. So what are the techniques that you need to keep in mind while studying Julius Caesar, or while studying Macbeth, or while studying Macbeth, or while studying any short story, first of all with particular reference to Julius Caesar. Whenever you're reading Julius Caesar, whenever you're reading your plays, always keep in mind the why. Why are the characters, the why of the characters? Why is this character behaving in so and so way? So if Brutus is telling us in Act 2 Scene 1 that he's comparing Julius Caesar with a serpent under the egg, what does it tell us about Julius? What does it tell us about Brutus? It signifies, it implies, it tells us about the fact that Brutus is anxious. It tells us about the fact that how he considers Julius Caesar to be an ambitious, in fact an over-ambitious person, whose ambition might be lethal to everyone, whose ambition might be detrimental to everyone. So the question would not be, what is Brutus saying? Yes, you might get a question like that, what is Brutus saying? But to enrich our answer, to tell the examiner, or to even understand literature at a deeper level, to understand the different facets of literature, because literature is all about characters who are just like us. They are flesh and blood, they are just like us. So we need to understand, if a person is standing there in the corner continuously chattering away, what does it tell us about them? That they are a talkative person, they love to talk, or perhaps they have been repressed all their life, they have not been given the opportunity to talk, so now they are chattering. When given the opportunity, they are chattering away. Similarly, do not focus on what the characters are doing, but more than that, yes, you have to know what the characters are doing. You cannot proceed without knowing what the characters are doing. But more than that, significantly focus on the why are they behaving in such a way, what does it tell us about them, what is the reason, the purpose. Focus on that, especially when you are reading your plays, but also when you're reading your short stories. So for instance, Bonku Babu, for those who are in for class 9, people who are in class now have come to class 10 and studied in class 9. So Bonku Babu not reacting to all the insults hurled at him, not reacting to all of that he's a passive character, he's a person who is not standing up for himself, he's not asserting his his identity really well. So why is very important for us in literature and in Julius Caesar or in Macbeth specifically and particularly. The second thing is chronology, very important, because now you also get the question answers about MCQs about the chronology, arranging into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But not just that, that is there for short story, knowing what happened when, but even in play, in your mind there should be a clear picture of what has happened before, what has happened after. And this happens at two levels. This happens at the level of acts. So what has happened in Act 2 Scene 1, for instance, in Act 2 Scene 1, Brutus is talking about the ambition of Julius Caesar. And then when in Act 3 Scene 1, when he kills, when he assassinates, when he stabs Julius Caesar, and there he's lying, he says, that the ambition is now no worthier, the ambition has gotten what it has gotten, it's lying there not worthier than dust. So when he's referring to that, he's also referring, there's a reference back to Act 2 Scene 1 where he's talking about Julius Caesar climbing up the ladder of ambition. So you should be knowing, you cannot read plays in isolation, just as important is the reason. Similarly, you also have to read your plays with the context of chronology. What has happened before, in the acts before, what has happened in the acts after. Yes, according to the syllabus till now you'll only have 3, 4, 5, but to write better, proper, well fleshed out answers of 3, 4, 5, you need to know Act 1 and 2, and to write answers on Act 3, you need to know 4 and 5, and so on and so forth. So chronology is very important in terms of acts. It's also important in terms of extract, because sometimes they give you extracts and you lazy bum people, you will be like, ma'am, extract is to given, I'll write the answer. But sometimes they ask what has happened immediately before this, or what has happened after this. And even if they do not ask questions like that, your understanding, your knowing what has happened before, what has happened after, studying it not in isolation, will make your answer more proper. You'll be able to answer it in a more proper way. So it's very important to know, even in extracts, the chronology of what has happened before and what has happened after. Background information also is as important as chronology. Again, what has happened closely related to closely concomitant with the background information. And word of the day is concomitant. Now what is concomitant? When I put my videos, I'm also going to put a word of the day or maybe a couple of words, so that your grammar and vocabulary, your vocabulary gets enriched, you're using better vocabulary in your answers, and you're getting more marks and establishing yourself as ICSE and IC kids with better vocabulary. Association, concomitant, associated to. Okay, so closely concomitant with the chronology is the background information. So if some characters behaved in similar way, if Cassius similarly in Act 3 Scene 1 is getting anxious, that why is he getting anxious? Because for him it's more of a personal cause. That is why he's getting quite passionate, he's getting quite emotional. So having that background information in your head, again, makes you better learners, makes you better answer writers. And then you're like, ma'am, how to fetch marks, how to write answers which will make, how to study. All of these could be done by following these tips and techniques and strategies. Coming to the last one, context and social position, very important. It's very important to understand who is speaking at what point. If Brutus and Portia are speaking, they're speaking in the context of husband and wife relationship. Brutus is not talking to her as a statesman. Brutus is not talking to her as a political figure. Brutus is not talking to her like that. Brutus is talking to her as a husband. But he's also, yes, the aspect of political figure, the aspect of statesman does get reflected. He cannot separate his two identities, so it does get reflected, but at that moment he's also a husband. So very important is to include to understand and include it in your mind, the context which context is the thing being said, because if the context is not taken into consideration, we'll assume something else, we'll assume some other explanation for it. So context is important and social position is important. So if Julius Caesar is behaving in a particular way, why is he behaving? Because he has a social position of being a politician or political figure or a statesman. So very important is the background information, the context and the social position. Because anyone, as a teacher, I'm going to talk like a teacher. As a teacher, I'm not going to talk like a student here. I'm not going to talk like a sister here or like a daughter here. I'm going to talk like a teacher. So similarly, in different kind of context and different kind of position, people talk in a certain kind of way, and that is very important when we are reading our plays and when we are reading also our short stories and poems. So these are 3 techniques which will help you and make you better learners. I hope this video was beneficial for you. I hope you'll include it, because if you do include it, it will enrich your learning more than focus, more than just fetching good marks. The focus of our guidance to you is to make you better learners, to make you learners who understand for life. So I hope you use that, and I hope if you like this video, if you do comment, because getting to know your positive remarks is obviously a good source of encouragement for me. So do comment down if it's helpful for you. If you want any more clarification, I'll see you in the next video where we get into the explanation of Act 3 Scene 1. Yes, and also I'll be going a little slow. I'm not going to rush, because I believe in meaningful and deep learning. So we'll break into parts, and then we'll also go to the keywords, important questions and stuff like that. Again, emphasis on important doesn't mean I'm going to give you questions that are going to be there in the paper. I'm going to give you questions which I feel you should attempt, and that will cover your that will enrich your learning, and that will cover most of the aspect of a particular scene or a particular extract. See you in the next video. Please do comment below whether this was helpful or not, and subscribe, share and do comment, because that is again a huge dose of token of encouragement.